Hello and welcome to the Met Office 10-day trend. If you're hankering after more snow or if the cold spell of late has left you really yearning for some spring, well, the weather's not really going to oblige either way because the forecast for the next week or so mostly focuses on outbreaks of rain. It does look as if spells of rain will be the main theme as we go through next week. Of course, there will be drier spells in between, and now we're into March. The sun does have a bit of power, so if you get a bit of sunshine, the temperatures could jump up. Nothing too exceptional about this forecast for 10 days, a bit of rain with some drier spells in between. But what is slightly unusual is that actually the wettest weather looks like being across more southern portions of the UK, and we'll have the reason behind that in just a moment. Now, when we talk about rain and subtle weather, we're always talking about areas of low pressure, and it's a messy old pressure pattern close to the UK. Just look at the number of low pressure systems. Now, they're not moving particularly quickly. They're not especially intense. They're just sort of milling around, and bands of rain are flowing around them slowly. In fact, this weather front in particular bringing a band of wet weather across the UK on Wednesday night, which will bring some snow to some areas and could leave things a bit icy on Thursday morning. That weather front tends to scurry away, taking its mixture of rain, sleet and snow away from eastern areas during the day. Behind it, with low pressure, that means the air's rising, so we get showers. But sunny spells between the showers, and as I said at the start, there's a bit of welly in the sun. It's got a bit of power to it, so when the sun's out, temperatures getting, certainly in the south, close to double digits. Still on the cold side across parts of Scotland, however. And certainly on the cold side, as the showers fade through Thursday night, in many places waking up to a touch of frost on Friday morning. Notice not quite so cold in the far southwest. And if we put the cloud on, well, you can see that cloud is slowly approaching the southwest, and that is a sign of things to change into the weekend. That band of cloud is a warm front, which slowly sweeps in across the southwest, bringing some wet weather here later on Friday, but then more generally into the weekend, pushing its way northwards. Now, it is a warm front, which means it introduces warmer air. If you put the temperature picture on, you can see that slice of warm air. It's called a warm sector, moving northwards across much of England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Temperatures on the rise this weekend. But notice still the cold air sitting across Scotland, which means as the weather front arrives, it could have some snow for a time. So that's something we need to watch. Those weather fronts continue to move their way slowly northwards through the rest of the weekend. This low pressure becomes the dominant feature, but notice there are other low pressures sitting around. So again, the air is moving up through the atmosphere. Low pressure systems bringing further bands of rain and showers across the UK. So yes, it looks like an unsettled picture this weekend. Spells of rain. Sunday probably the drier day of the two, and with that milder air, at least for a time, pushing its way slowly northwards. Into the early part of next week. Number of low pressure systems, as I said, not moving anywhere particularly fast, it's milling around each other. Now, this is a few days off, so don't take the position of these lows for granted, but there will be spells of rain nearby, often quite blustery as well. Now, as I said, these low pressure systems not moving anywhere too quickly, not particularly intense. Why is that? Well, the driving force behind low pressure systems is high up in the atmosphere, the jet stream. And the jet stream isn't close to the UK. It is much further south, unusually far south, and it looks like it'll maintain this kind of position well into next week. It means the low pressure systems drive their way towards Iberia. It also means that we stay on the cold side of the jets. The really warm air will stay to the south across Africa, and it means temperature's not going to get especially high through next week. And notice the very cold air, the blue conditions there, the blue colours stay pretty close to Scotland. So we stay on the cool side of the jet, and that jet will drive low pressure systems towards Iberia, intensifying as they do, but then they tend to weaken as they drift further north. That's why they're slow moving around the United Kingdom. But it does also mean that the low pressure systems will be bringing the rain up from the south, which is why, as I said at the start, the wettest weather will be across southern portions of the UK for next week. I'm going to show you that with this graph. Now, this is called a meteogram, showing the rainfall, the days along the bottom. These blobs or barbs, the larger they are, the greater the uncertainty. And as we go ahead in time, as you might expect, the uncertainty gets larger, so the barbs become larger. But I think you can tell here there's a definite trend that Cardiff looks like it will be wetter than Edinburgh compared to the average, which is the pale green lines at the back. The Edinburgh graph there showing many of the barbs sitting, so there's a greater chance of there being drier conditions, whereas in Cardiff, the larger the barb, the most likely scenario is that we'll actually see rain on most days in Cardiff. So that's what I'm suggesting when I'm talking about the wettest weather. Looks most likely to be across southern portions of the UK. Throughout next week then, it also stays on the cool side, but don't forget when the sun does come out, it is March, so temperatures could rise if you get those sunny spells between the rainy bouts. And it is mostly rain that we're talking about. As I said at the start, if you're after some more heavy snowfall, doesn't look likely at this stage, with most of the snow confined to hills. Now, things can change. This is just a trend into next week, so please stay up to date with the forecast, particularly if you have plans for the weekend. Do that through our app or, of course, across social media.